Hi there everybody, this is David, and I have a pretty exciting video for you today. A lot of the stuff that you're going to be seeing today is not coming from me, it's actually coming from you, the fans, over on my Discord server. Every year now, since I've had the server, I've been going on through and I've been asking them, and I've been saying, hey, what do you think is the best RPGs released this year, and why do you think that they are the best? After that, we compile the entire list and then we vote on them. And then whenever I go through and I make this video, not only am I telling you who nominated these games, but I'm also kind of reading off their nominations. I'm reading the reasons why they think that they are so good. So here you're going to be seeing who the fans, who the Discord server thought had the best games, and going on through them in a top 10 fashion. I do hope that you enjoy today's video, everybody. First up at number 10, submitted by Serena Vox and receiving 36 votes from the server, is Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince. This is the third true entry to the Monster series, and it seems to take place concurrently with the events of Dragon Quest IV, beginning before the events of the first game, but then quickly catching up to coincide with them all. The story follows the antagonist, Sorrow, who's cursed with the inability to harm monsters, leading him to become a monster wrangler in his quest for revenge against his father. Do not be fooled, however. This isn't just a rehash of IV's world. There are plenty of new places to visit, with some old familiar ones mixed in. As with other Monsters titles, you'll be capturing and breeding monsters to participate in tournaments and explore Naderia. And there's major quality of life features where you can select the frequency in which a skill is used or turn it off completely if you don't want to use it at all. The sheer amount of monsters and endless customization of talents will lead you into countless hours of playing. Next up at number 9, submitted by TT Paradigm and receiving 36 votes, is Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. This entry into the long-standing series serves as a tie-in between the events of Yakuza 6 and 7, following longtime series protagonists Kazuma Kiryu. While the plot does follow the events of Yakuza 6, it's really meant to explain some of the story gaps that occur in the background during Yakuza 7. While the story is bite-sized compared to previous games in the series at roughly half the length, it makes up for all that with droves of bonus content. You'll be enjoying series staples such as karaoke, pool, and Pocket Circuit Racer. And while this isn't a turn-based entry, here you can instead switch between Yakuza or Ancient-style fighting. Whether you're swinging enemies around with a spider gadget, summoning a flock of drones to attack enemies, throwing cigarette-shaped bombs, or zipping around the battlefield with rocket shoes, Agent is a welcome addition to an arsenal of phenomenal fighting styles, and it's incredibly fun to master. Number 8, submitted by Ariel and receiving 42 votes, is Fire Emblem Engage. Here we have an exceptional entry into this long-running series, particularly for fans of the classic Fire Emblem games back on the NES and SNES. In many ways, it's a return to the concepts that we've seen many times over, but with twists that make the game feel refreshing and new. Weapon triangle advantages don't just add small little bonuses to accuracy, they instead stun enemies who are hit. And you also don't just recruit characters with different unit types now, but you also recruit emblems, completely changing the way a character plays and granting them powerful abilities that turn into an important tactical resource. The maps in the game as well are a real treat, presenting a huge amount of variety and challenge. And finally, aesthetically, the game is gorgeous. The battle animations and effects look lovely in combat, and it's paired with a great soundtrack as well, with plenty of catchy tunes that you will not tire of hearing. Number 7, submitted by Mojo LaCroix and receiving 43 votes, is Xenoblade 3: Future Redeemed. This was a solid send-off not only to Xenoblade 3, but to the entire Xenoblade series. It expanded upon some ideas that the base game had, while also streamlining certain features, while still maintaining the fun sense of customization that the base game had. It also does a pretty solid job of helping people who've really only played Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to be able to keep up with the story that Future Redeemed was trying to end, with the new protagonist Matthew having no real direct ties to the stories of any of the other games at all. He was learning all about the world just as we are learning about it too. And while the majority of the DLC is action-packed, in order to cut through some of that action, the affinity scenes bring in light-hearted banter just to mix it up a little bit. Number 6, submitted by Miami Sunrise and receiving 44 votes, is Legend of Heroes Trails to Azure. The official westernization of the crossbow duology is a huge deal and a big moment. This is something that JRPG fans have been clamoring on for a long time now. The story, first built upon with Zero, the character arcs, the cameos from previous games, and the feeling of fighting for something meaningful and important, few games in general can do what Trails does, but this game nails that feeling of something special and important. I cared about the whole cast, and I will continue to care about them, built in with Azure's incredible follow-through. The whole battle system, the secrets, and even the music are all memorable, and I guess that's the real bottom line here. Trails to Azure is definitely memorable. I will never forget it, and that's just why it has to be up here on this list. Number 5, submitted by Skyward Link and receiving 58 votes, is Final Fantasy XVI. Here we have a great return to the fantasy set pieces that the series has been missing for a while now. Valisthea was an absolute joy to explore, not to mention pretty damn good looking to boot. The story was really able to hook me, as we saw the journey of Clive as many companions, like Jill, Cid, and of course the awesome and adorable Torgal, as they tried to free the world from the reigns of the crystals, and ultimately, Ultima. The combat was fluid and simple, but still allowed for skilled players to learn the deeper mechanics and really get some insane combos going. The side quests are pretty solid too, and they progressed steadily, eventually bringing in a lot of added details to the world. I particularly enjoyed how even the smaller characters had their own little detailed stories to explore. As somebody who waited a few years for this game and bought a PS5 exclusively for it, it far surpassed all of my expectations. Number 4, submitted by Partridge Quill, TT Paradigm, Yo-Yo Turtle, and Winter Snake, and receiving 61 votes, is Baldurs Gate 3. There is more care in this one particular game that I've seen in most AAA titles. While other companies are cutting corners to meet release dates or cutting content to sell later as DLC, Baldur's Gate 3 released with an abundance of content, and that needs to be applauded, especially in this day and age. There's just so much here, and the world, it's just huge. I mean, you could play for like 100 hours and still be finding things that you haven't seen in like 2 or 3 previous playthroughs. Different quests that you might have completely missed, or a completely new path that remains unexplored, or maybe even a legendary item or two. You're rewarded for checking everything. With player choice being the driving factor throughout the story, and mechanics alike, this is by far the closest video game that I've encountered to playing a paper and pencil D&D game. The characters are beautifully fleshed out and each have their own desires, character flaws, and perspectives. You won't be able to keep everybody happy all the time, but I think that lends to this game's strength because it's just so realistic. Number 3, submitted by Dingus, This Way Jose, and Edge Xgal, and receiving 65 votes, is Sea of Stars. Over the years, indie RPGs have been improving in quality, and there are only a handful that have managed to set the bar for what a high-quality indie RPG should be, and Sea of Stars sets that bar. With many throwbacks to classics from the Golden Age, the story is enjoyable, and it definitely has quite a few twists and turns, and the lore was fascinating, especially after a certain point in the story where the world really opens up. The combat consists of timed commands for extra damage, as well as a variety of team-based attacks. The party members can be freely swapped within battle to accommodate any strategy that you require, and this is especially useful for the unique mechanic of breaking your enemy's turns by hitting them with specific attack combinations. The exploration is wonderful too, with each area being full of sections to climb and jump around in, and it's just filled to the brim with puzzles, and then you're slowly granted items to solve them for rewards and progression, just like that classic Lufia 2. Next up at number 2, submitted by Q the Mad and receiving 76 votes, is Star Ocean 2R. Here we have a remake of one of the best JRPGs of all time, and easily the best game in the Star Ocean franchise. This is an action RPG featuring live action combat, kinda similar to the Tales series, with frontline physical fighters and mages supporting them from the rear. It also features what is likely the best soundtrack that Sakuraba has ever done, as well as completely overhauled visuals, including character art and a massive world to explore with all new treasures to discover around every corner. Then, as another added cherry on top, you have 2 different playable characters and a ton of optional characters that you can recruit throughout the course of the game. So, once you're done playing one character's path, just, fire the game up again and play the second character's path to experience the story from a completely different viewpoint, as well as with totally different characters. And number 1, submitted by Tom Derry and Weird Duck Season, and receiving 79 votes, is Octopath Traveler 2. In terms of turn-based RPGs, this is the best that we've had in decades. Square Enix knows a winner whenever they find one, and resisting that Final Fantasy urge to, change everything, we have not seen a case where the second game was such a huge improvement over the first since Lufia 2, way back in 1996. So here, thankfully, they kept the same fundamentals with Octopath Traveler 2, such as the HD 2D graphics, a top-tier soundtrack, strategic turn-based battles, and job classes. But they also understood the weaker points of the first entry, so they added in some things too, like a day-night cycle, additional character skills, and they increased the emphasis on party interactions, as well as in-battle latent powers, and they expanded the lore and added more voiced dialogue. Take all that and add in improved mechanics, and what you'll find is one of the most satisfying and emotional stories in recent memory. So that's it for the top 10 best RPGs this year, as decided by my Discord server. And if you'd like to join in the fun for future Discord contributed videos such as these, then please follow the link in the video description to join up on my Discord channel and take part of the fun. So, what do you all think about all their picks and their different choices? Let's get a discussion going on here, and let's all talk and chat about it, because I'm always in the comments too. And if you like what I do on the channel, please head on over to the Patreon to sign up for early access to my videos and behind the scenes photographs. The link to it is over in the video description. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.